everybody, I'm Andrew. Welcome back to the ThaGamerNurse channel. I wanted to make a video like this for a pretty long time. I wanted to make a lot of things for a really long time, but still kind of testing things out, my creativity, being able to edit things and record things and put it all together. So I'm pretty excited that I actually got to put this together. So getting right into it, allow me to introduce you to my car. It's a 2021 Tesla Model 3. I had it for about 10 months now. It's my first brand new car purchase. There's things that I love about it, there's things that I hate about it. Let's talk about it. Before we get too deep into it, this is my first car review, so it might be a little bit lacking here and there, but let me know what you think about it in the comments, because I definitely want to do more videos like this. Alright, enough of that. Let's get into it. Now, I'm not a Tesla fanboy. At least, I don't think I would call myself one, but I am an EV fanboy. The design of the Model 3, to be honest, isn't, the best, but it's not horrible either. I like most things about the design. It's definitely not a luxurious feeling car, but it's comfortable and simple, which surprisingly, I actually like. If I had to pick one thing right away that I'm not happy with, it would have to be the handles. What's annoying to deal with is the fact that they're black on a black car, and in the dark, sometimes I can't even find the thing, so I find myself just tapping around until I just feel something, and then I'm able to open up the car. But then because of all that tapping around and feeling around, you end up with greasy finger marks all over the handle. Not a gigantic deal, but it can definitely be annoying. But overall, I think the exterior looks pretty good. Now if we take a look on the inside, obviously, it's super minimal. You don't have the gauge cluster behind you, or you don't have the speedometer behind the steering wheel. You just got this one big screen that's just flat right in the middle of everything on the dashboard, which I think is pretty decent. The whole minimalistic look looks pretty good to me. I like it. And because it's electric, you don't have a gear tunnel sitting down right next to you, so you've got a little bit of extra space in the front seat, and definitely you've got a lot of extra space in the back seat. That's pretty much all there is I gotta say about the design. Outside is pretty plain, inside is pretty plain, but I think it looks pretty decent. But next, I think we should talk about the software, because that's basically where you're gonna live. If everything is done through the screen, then the software's got to be good, right? So this is basically where you're gonna have all of your interactions. So obviously software is gonna be important. I don't really have any complaints about the software, to be honest. It's smooth, it's clear. I haven't had any moments where the screen was laggy or jittery. So on that end, it's pretty cool with me. A laggy software would just drive me crazy, especially if that's where I'm spending all of my time and I have to control everything. If you take a look at MKBHD's video about the Rivian, he even points out that some of the software can be a little bit laggy inside of that truck. Or if you watch Doug DeMuro's video on the Lucid, some of the clips that you'll see in his video, you'll see that there's a delay between when he flips the switch on the volume and when you see the volume meter go up on the screen. I'm not throwing shade at anybody, I'm just saying. When I'm messing around with the Tesla software, because that's where my experience is, that's the car that I have, right? Navigating through the menus is pretty seamless. Moving through everything is pretty seamless. Now, here and there, things can be a little bit jittery, but that's pretty rare for me. Overall, the software is pretty smooth. I did think it would be weird having just the screen in the middle and not having your speedometer like behind the steering wheel like every other car, or every other car that I've owned anyway. But it's really not that bad. You get used to it after about a day, or at least I did anyway. I don't think it's really that bad. It's right there. You just gotta take a quick glance over at it, or you can just keep up with traffic. Whichever one you wanna do, I think it's fine. But I don't think it's a big deal to just glance off to the side a little bit to see the speedometer. And since we're on the topic of software, I guess autopilot would fit under here too. Autopilot is pretty cool, but I don't have the full featured software, the full self-driving. I don't think it's necessary. For me, it's not necessary. The basic autopilot does plenty for me. It's already kind of creepy enough as it is to even be using it, but maybe I'll mess with it in the future. Maybe I'll do the subscription for a month and see how I like it. But I don't feel myself or see myself using that for a really long time. But autopilot is pretty decent. Maybe in the coming months I'll subscribe to the full self-driving and see if I can get some good video footage of that, but for right now I'm not really too interested in it. So overall, design okay, software good. Moving on to charging. Now, charging is a big one. I definitely highly recommend one of these outlets installed at your home. I got my Model 3 in early March, And trying to time everything so I could plug in at a regular household outlet was a lot. And it was cold, so I was losing efficiency. I was losing about 30% efficiency from the car already, from the car trying to just maintain the battery at good temperatures. So about a week into ownership, I started looking into getting one of these installed. Now I have no fears about running the battery down in a day, because if the battery is down, it's only gonna take about 6.5 hours, maybe 7 hours to be charged up. So when I wake up in the morning, I have nothing to worry about. Now I don't have any super fancy math to talk about, but since getting the car, my electric bill has been no more than just $25 extra on a given month. I charge my car pretty much every other day, sometimes every second, third, fourth. I charge my car pretty much every other day. If I remember, then I'll plug it in every day. Sometimes I get home and I just don't feel like plugging it in. Sometimes that'll be like 2 or 3 days in a row. So sometimes I might charge like just twice a week. But that's kind of rare. If I remember, then it's gonna be at least every other day. During the summer months, I forgot more often, but during the colder months, definitely you gotta remember to plug in and use that scheduled departure feature inside the Tesla app, because it'll keep your battery warm, it'll of course keep your cabin warm, and then you don't have to worry about regenerative braking being missing while the car is warming itself up. Maybe I shouldn't say missing. Regenerative braking reduced, not missing. Reduced. And if you were wondering, I generally charge up to 90%. No more, no less, just 90%. So let's get to the fun part. Performance. Man, what can I say? It's electric. Now I'm not coming from super performance cars. I'm coming from a long line of Maximas, and my most recent car being, which we still have, 2008 Infiniti M35. The acceleration is awesome, and I play with that all the time, which really isn't that good for your state of charge. Just remember that. Like I said, I'm not coming from super performance cars. I don't have a performance car history. But the car feels really good on the road. It handles really well. It feels really planted on the road. Now that's something I can say definitely feels different from previous cars. And of course, it's because you got all that weight from the batteries that's sitting on the bottom of the car. And the acceleration in EVs is super fun to play with. But although once you get around 60 miles per hour, at least in the Model 3, I know the Tesla Model S Plaid might be different, might feel different. But once you get around 60 miles an hour, it really starts to taper off, which I don't really mind. That's good enough for me, because when you're in city driving, especially in my area, let's be honest, some people just drive incredibly slowly. I really wanted to do more testing and get a lot more clips and talk about more of the handling, but I didn't really know where I could go around here without getting in trouble. But I'll be working on that in the future. So we talked about a lot of the things that I considered good. What am I even looking at? We talked about a lot of the things that I consider good about the car, right? So what about the bad stuff? What went wrong with the car so far? Well, I've actually had a couple problems so far. When I first got the car, I didn't realize that one of the fog lights wasn't turning on at delivery. I guess I was too excited. So note to self, or note to future buyers, definitely make sure you look at everything before you leave. But I made an appointment. They gave me a loaner Model 3, and I ended up getting my car back the next day. Turns out that it wasn't even anything that they had to replace. They preemptively ordered some parts that they thought they needed to replace. Then when they got into it, they just noticed that one of the wires just wasn't connected, and that was it. They gave me the car back the next day. That was it. My second problem was with the tail lights. Tail lights, when it rained, there would be way too much water that ended up in the light. Now, I'll try to find a picture. I think I still have a picture. If I can find the picture, then I'll upload it while I'm editing. I gave it about another week or so, and then I ended up making a mobile service appointment because there was just so much in there. Mobile technician came out. They agreed there was definitely way too much water that was ending up inside the light. They came with the light already. They replaced it, done and done. And that was that. Simple. And it was pretty cool that they just came to my job and replaced it right there. I never had that kind of service before, so to me, that was pretty cool. You guys might be used to it already, but I definitely wasn't. I thought that was dope. The last problem I had was this little clicking or clunking noise that was coming from the back of the car. But I thought it was a suspension thing. But when I took it in, they said it was a part of the trunk that wasn't greased up properly. I ended up getting the car back the same day. I know there's some horror stories about Tesla service centers, maybe in different areas. The one that I go to, I haven't had any problems ever since the first day that I went there. I've always brought them the car, they're able to handle the issue, and I get the car back and I walk away. I've never been upset at anybody. I've never been upset with their service or anything. They never told me that they couldn't fix anything. I've had pretty good experiences. That's not to say that, you know, if I go somewhere else, I'm not gonna have one. Maybe I'm just getting lucky, but I haven't had any bad experiences, so I'm praying that it stays this way. There's a learning curve to driving an EV. The whole one pedal driving thing. It's basically like you're driving a gigantic road-sized golf cart. That's really what it feels like. You know how you're just driving with one pedal, you let go, and it's stopping you already. That's basically what it feels like. Some people will convert, some people won't. How do you feel about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let's have a conversation. That's all I've got for this video. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. What is up, everybody?